Welcome to another big episode of Card Authority. Sunday night, it's been a huge month, and we have all been absolutely immersed in Supremacy 2024. As always, the man, the myth, the legend.
Great to see you.
AJ2.
I'm feeling a bit sunburned, but
I'm a bit sunburned too. I was at the footy today.
always great to see you with your Tigers hat on.
I was at St Kilda today, so I had to.
So I heard.
Yeah.
The AFLW.
Yeah.
Supporting the St Kilda women's team.
The things you do for your kids.
Absolutely.
That's all I'll say. All right, it's been a huge month, and obviously the community has been going bonkers with Supremacy. Hello, Bernard. Supremacy is not like any other release, Jenks.
Yep.
Comes around every couple of years. It's only happened 3 times.
Yeah.
It absolutely changed. What are you doing? You're moving?
Yeah, I'm just going to move. So
You're still looking red. Anyway, you look at it, you're red.
not because of the light, just I'm looking better down the lens. Anyway,
right.
Continue, sir.
Supremacy is something that obviously has completely changed the landscape. 19, it was something completely different. 21 just blew everyone out of the water. And 24, really, you can't argue that it is the premium release, or it's a premium version of Supremacy. The amount of stuff that's in it and the limits it went to, and obviously we're going to talk a little bit further about the ins and outs of it.
Yeah.
But no one, I think, with any kind of logical mind can say that it isn't the best Supremacy that's ever been released.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of what's coming out of it, what you're getting, the amount of options of cards, absolutely. And again, we'll get into it a bit further into the show about the repercussions that has going both directions in terms of the marketplace. But as you said, 2019, when that came out, the whole marketplace and the landscape itself was very, very different to what it is now. And when that came out, that was not only was it a superior product, but it was something that the likes of it had never been seen before. So it was unusual. And as a result, like as you would recall, it didn't even sell out back then. You know, there was a 20 case limit, 6 boxes per case, and it didn't sell out. And it was very much a different landscape, not just in terms of the amount of collectors and the scale of collecting, but in terms of where people's expectations were in terms of the type of cards and releases they would see moving forward. So when that came out, that was a very extravagant thing. It was huge. It was a big deal, and
well, no one had paid $500 a box at that point.
Well, that's right, and it was at the pinnacle of AFL cards at that time. Obviously, that happened in 2019, and that was already the market, the trading card market, not just footy in general, was already starting to come back alive again from sort of 2016, 2017, 2018. 2019, we certainly saw the market dramatically increase, and we saw that in AFL. And then 2020, you know, all the collision of all the things to do with COVID and lockdowns and everything else all combined into a perfect storm where a lot of people got into all different hobbies or back into hobbies or more into hobbies, and that certainly included cards. And as a result, we saw a whole bunch of new releases starting to come through that were very different to what we'd seen before, that weren't just 35-point card. And you saw things like Brilliant starting to come out against Supremacy and all these different releases. So it created an expectation moving forward, and we've always discussed, as you go release by release, and you keep putting more and more into it, what can you do next time? And I think we were very much wondering for the last couple of years what was going to happen with a release like Supremacy when they already increased what went into 2021 from 2019, what was going to go into this. And I think they've got something there for everyone, really.
Absolutely.
It's an unbelievable offering. As you know, you've got a master set now, a team master set, as do I, and it's quite incredible.
And look, obviously we'll talk about some of the things that we think could have been better or done better. And no doubt, you know, post your questions if you've got views on that as well. Yes, Jeff, we're in the same room. Yeah. Hello, Jax. Hello, Glenn. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Tyrone. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Wade. Let's break down the release for a second, okay? When we did the preview of it, we noticed that there was a huge amount of signatures.
Yeah.
More signatures than we've ever seen.
Yeah.
There was some things that we picked up early on about the the multiplication or the multitude of same signatures.
Yeah.
Trent Cotchin, Nick Rewalt.
There's a variety of
There's a
variety
variety,
of
but
players
they're probably the
represented.
two outliers that had a substantial amount because they were both featured on the nine.
Yeah.
I am very much of the view that the hobby needed a release that they could actually find obtainable. And a few of the things that have been talked about by collectors over the last couple of years since we're doing these more premium releases is that it's
Unattainable.
it's unobtainable.
Yeah.
There's either not enough of them because they're too short print, they're too expensive and you can't afford it,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. Supremacy, probably by accident, I don't think by design, the prices were strong on the good stuff. The lower stuff was probably a little bit low, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it is very obtainable. And we can certainly see from, you and I are a little bit different, but the amount of people that, for example, in Good Vibes, that have posted their full team master set
Yeah.
is way more than I expected a week into the release,
yeah.
let alone 2 or 3 weeks
Yeah, like
later.
you're talking within a month, a stack of people have done a master set.
Yeah.
Feel free to drop a comment. If you're one of those people that has completed a team master set at this point,
Yep.
I'd be interested to see how many of you there are because it seems like there's quite a lot. And again, that's part of the evolving landscape. In 2019, people literally spent 6 to 12 months still
Sure.
picking off the cards they wanted for their set. And it's also at a time where cards are a lot cheaper than what they are now.
Yep.
2021, I feel like people were completing their master sets, your team master sets in sort of 6 to 8 weeks. I reckon we're seeing this time around a record speed of people completing
people that
sets.
did it in 6 or 8
and
days.
and a lot more cards that you need
Yeah.
to complete the set as well.
Yep. And Glenn, we will talk about the players representing multiple clubs. We will talk about that and touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And I can already see here, Turk said he's 2 off the North set.
Yeah.
Stacey's 3 off St Kilda.
Wade needs 1.
Yeah. Kat's already done it. Wade's already close. There are so many people, and we were talking about this before while we were having dinner. There was a North Melbourne set we saw the other day,
Yeah.
where there were cards we hadn't even seen, and we're like, oh, this guy's already done it as well.
Yeah.
There are so many people in the background too that we've got clients that we buy for
Yeah.
that are completing this set at a very reasonable price.
So, whilst you're talking
go.
about that, when you're talking about it, obviously, so we were just having a conversation, and exactly that photo came up of someone's set, which had the laundry tag, which was the logo and everything on it, and we were then having a little discussion about, well, how many booklets have you seen out there, and how many have you seen for your team, and how many have I seen for my team, and that's probably a reflection of the wider marketplace at the moment. And we both sort of seem to agree that we'd seen 10 to 12 from our respective teams from Tigers and Saints at the moment, plus then taking into account there's a bunch that no one knows about,
Yeah.
and then trying to derive from that how much we think has been opened purely from what we're aware of.
What's your number? What do you think? Because obviously that's a question everyone's always
I
interested
think
in.
I'm around 80% is where I think. And that is like an huge volume of boxes that have been opened at such a short period of time.
So, I'm about the same too. And one of the things that we landed on, and obviously everyone knows we run a break business, we buy boxes, all that kind of stuff. One of the key factors that we're using for this is jump on eBay. You can count on 2 hands the amount of boxes that are available. They've just dried up.
I don't even think there's that. I don't know.
There's probably somewhere between 5 and 10.
Of Supremacy boxes on
Yeah,
eBay?
I haven't looked today, but-
I didn't even think there was that many. And that's how quick it's dried up. Yeah,
Dried
I actually
up.
didn't think it was
There
that
was
many.
heaps.
But
There
so
was
much
heaps
has been
for ages.
opened, so much has been broken. People
Yep.
obviously opened a heap of boxes. Lots of people went out and bought more boxes to open
Yeah.
up. Interesting, obviously, in the comments at the moment about people talking about prices of cards and the cost of doing sets.
Well, hit them if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so there's so many paths we can go down here. I might just look at Brad's comment. Brad Trees, who's a Carlton collector, says Carlton Black Pearls are unfortunately not even remotely reasonably priced. I'm not sure if you're saying that to the up direction or the down direction, but those cards are numbered to 35. They, in my opinion, look pretty amazing. They're one of the best looking cards in the entire set.
Yep.
the player representation seems to be pretty strong for all teams or most teams in terms of the players that people would like to see on cards like that. Those things going for anywhere from $70 to $150, and I have seen so many of them go for that price, and I've bought so many of them for that price as well.
Just to add some context,
It is extraordinarily cheap.
So
Like,
Carlton-
they are so undervalued in the market.
so I obviously know firsthand through a few of the eBay accounts we run.
Yeah.
Carltons are getting clicked off between 200 and 400, depending on the player.
Okay. So
But
that's
still-
all, that is.
But it's still, it's a number 35 card.
So that price right now may obviously, okay, so I can see what Brad's saying.
Yeah.
At that price, it seems crazy because you're comparing it to the rest of the market. But I think what you're not looking at is that the totality of the market is completely undervalued on that particular subset.
Correct.
It's based on historical data and what we know happens to cards at such short print levels.
They just disappear.
They disappear.
Yeah.
And what's essentially happening with those cards, and it's happening with a number of cards in this particular release, and it's expected to happen, is because there is so many high-end cards and because there is so many signature cards that are attainable, it's effectively put a suppression on all the non-SIG cards in this release. And whether that's the Pearl 35s selling for the price range we're now talking about, $70 to $300, or it's the 95s selling for $15, or the 65s selling for $20 or $30, some of them,
Yep.
they are all massively undervalued. All the non-SIG insert cards are massively undervalued, again, based on historical data and against their counterparts from the two previous supremacies. They are massively undervalued against the rest of the market.
So
There's so much has been opened at such a short period of time. There's such an influx of cards.
And I think too that so many people are spending money not only on boxes, cards, breaks, all sorts of things, that they're looking to replenish and turn this money over. You talk about those subsets, Premiership Glory signatures and non-SIGs, because they've been here for the last 3 releases.
Yeah.
I know when I told you that I wasn't going to do Richmond 19.
Yeah.
All right, you laughed at me. You said I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
The hardest cards for me to get were the Premiership Glories.
Yeah.
Both SIGs and non-SIGs.
Yeah.
Regardless
Well,
of
the non-SIGs are so hard to get. From
they were
those,
$300-$400
Yeah.
non-SIGs, $700-$800 SIGs,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get them. These things will dry up. They're numbered to 40. Like they're so.
Yeah.
The fact that some of them are selling for $350 now, they've bounced a little bit now.
Well, I think
it's so cheap.
I think part of what's at play here is actually there's a lot of people that at the start of release had positioned themselves not to complete a set and to just go after particular cards or signature cards.
Yep.
And as they've become more attainable now, because people targeted very particular cards, everything else has been suppressed and it's fallen well under market value of where it should be and where it will be long term. And as a result of that, it's then encouraged people to then go back and actually complete Team Master sets or work towards
It
them
was
now.
obtainable.
Yeah, because it becomes attainable, exactly
Yep.
right. So again, I don't see long term any difference with this and what took place in the previous supremacies and a number of other releases as well. Is we are seeing large stock volume opened in a very short period of time. As a result, lots of cards are going under value at the moment or under market value of where they should be. And we see that just purely based on weight of numbers and based on print quantities versus the amount of collectors both in market at the moment, but also what, factored in moving forward, bargains to be had. And certainly bargain hunters have moved in. You see there's astute collectors and people who are monitoring everything and they are snapping off the bargains as soon as they come up.
Yeah, and we hit that point about a week and a half into Supremacy. You and I were talking about these blacks.
Yeah.
And people were dumping them at $100 each.
Yeah.
And we jumped on them.
We did.
And we weren't alone. There were a lot of people that were doing
Yeah.
it. And that's why, like the Carlton ones, for example, I'm sure there's some savvy Carlton collectors there that have some huge piles of them.
Yeah.
I know the Hawks guys did that. There's a few guys that
Yeah,
stocked up on a heap of
in
Hawks.
every team. I think there's a number of people who recognise them being very cheap for compared to where they should be, or again other cards of the same ilk.
So obviously there's been a little bit of a trend of a few people making some comments, and certainly valid, that there were too many cards, the release was too big. What would have happened, but if the market had cut the release in half? Do you think that the cards are the same price, or do you
Cut
think
the
that
release in half in terms of removing like an amount.
3 cards per box, removing some subsets?
Yeah, so removing sets
yeah, yeah,
altogether.
and just making it a smaller release. What do you think that would have done to the market?
I think, look, I got to turn it, let me answer it not with a question, but with more of, I suppose, a statement, is that there, and I think this is what you're really getting at here is,
No.
okay,
I'm the host. You're the talent. You tell me what you
we're
think.
not under any illusions. I don't think anyone's under any illusions. With the quantity of nice cards, signature cards especially, in a release like this, and in general over the last few releases, what it's essentially doing is making those cards seem a lot less rare than what
Sure.
they really are. And as a result, that is why you're seeing prices at levels which are, again, very attainable is probably the correct thing to say here, but very cheap as well compared to other cards. So, but what's going to happen in the long run, there's no difference, because there's always going to be desirability. Desirable cards are desirable cards, and if there's only an X amount created and a finite amount,
Sure.
eventually we know what happens with it. And to go to what you said a little bit earlier about, okay, a player like Nick Rewald, who has 3 different sets of signatures in this release, each one's numbered to 50, so 100, that's 156 in total, but there are obviously 3 variations. So, and some of those cards going for $250, $300, $350 between the 3
Yep.
different variations, which you compare that to a Nick Rewalt captain signature or a Nick Rewalt rising star signature, or, and you know, the other Nick Rewalt sigs that there were from the era, from that in the 2000s, which are 500, 800, $1,000, $1,500 cards, whatever they are, they're also numbered, you know, they're either numbered to 50 or they're numbered much higher than the total of 150.
Sure.
So I think, again, there's some great opportunities here for people who want to go beyond just doing their own set and are interested in looking at cards potentially for the future to turn over, whatever it is. This is the release where those opportunities are very much there.
Sure.
And have been there for the last couple of weeks.
So just getting back to it again, sorry, just to pull you back, and Gribbs corrected me on calling you the talent. Bit harsh from him.
Grips. Settle down, old man.
I guess more, there's been a few people that have said that it's overwhelming and there's too many cards and it's too much to collect. But my opinion on it is that and again, I made this comment earlier, whether it was by design or by accident, it's actually made it accessible. If you're a St Kilda collector and you want that Nick Rewalt card, you don't necessarily have to take the $350 version, because there's some good buying of the $250 version. And opposed to someone like, and I'm not having a go at you here, as a St Kilda hoarder or a bulk collector, if there was just one Nick Rewalt card, you would have gone out and tried to buy 5, 10, 20 of those.
Absolutely.
You can go and buy 5, 10 or 20 of the 3 subsets, and there's still plenty for everyone to get. So
just for the record, I haven't managed to get that amount of any of them from this release, unfortunately.
Everyone knows that, you know,
but yes,
I'm trying to make a point.
No, but
there's
the reality
actually,
of it.
and then that's why I was saying by accident or by design, there's actually been so many cards for everyone to be able to access.
Totally.
Plus mix that in with so much stock being opened so quickly. It's actually made it super obtainable.
But that's the thing, but it goes back to that notion. Our previous few episodes, there's always been that conversation that slipped in and it's been brought up a lot in the comments, obviously, where we're talking about, you know, the effect, the cause and effect of releasing more high-end cards into the market, what it does for those cards straight away, and what it does for back catalogue as well. And also the issue that people were having was it was becoming more difficult for them to collect because there was so many more cards to collect and they cost so much money. What we've seen with this release is effectively like, it's almost like a natural occurrence in the market. I don't think, this is not something that Selector's done. This is completely driven by collectors and by the marketplace itself, which is, it's created conditions, market conditions, to give the people what they actually want. Where people were, well, I'm not going to grab that card because I don't want to spend 800 on that SIG, and that's how much it's going to be. Well, all of a sudden there's an opportunity to get it for actually $300 now. And as a result, that's actually brought people back into the fold there too.
And I just want to talk. You touched on the market, and this is something really interesting. We obviously, and actually it's mainly you, normally get a lot of shots at you about the data side of things. And
Yeah.
we talked very early on in the pre-release video that there's effectively a primary market of about 4 million, 4.5 million,
Yeah.
which is the money Select get from selling the boxes. And then we said there probably needs to be 2x at least that in secondary market.
To sustain, yeah.
And, we got off the stream, we both looked at each other and went, shit, is there another 9 million plus? I can comfortably say,
Oh, it's well exceeded that.
well exceeded
Well,
that.
well, well exceeded
We
that.
know from internal metrics of just our business,
Yeah.
let alone others,
Yeah.
the amount of money that has been spent on eBay,
And turned over. And
on,
that's the key
on
to all
sales
this.
posts,
Yeah.
on breaks.
That's the key.
And a few people have already mentioned it. There's a huge amount of trading going on, which is great.
But all these aspects is what drives the hobby to continue to grow and grow
Yeah,
and grow.
there is more people
Yeah.
spending more money, and I know people think that the hobby is drying out and people are falling off.
It's incorrect. Yeah.
Think about everyone that's sitting here and watching it, all 17,835 of you.
Across the 14 different things you don't know about
Yep.
with streaming.
So think about how much you have spent in Supremacy, and it might be $500, it might be $2,000, it might be $100. Then think what you spent in Supremacy in 21. There is more people that are spending incrementally more money
Yeah,
than they
that's
did a
right.
couple of years
Yeah.
ago. And it might only be $100 more.
Yeah.
But once you multiply that out over a few thousand people,
Yeah.
that's huge money.
A couple of people might remember, I think it was a few days into release or something, I don't know, something triggered me and I went and did a post on Good Vibes with some graph work and some statistics and some data.
You're pretty proud
I
of that.
can't, yeah, I liked it. But it's one of those things, it just, something triggers me and I do it and then I forget about it afterwards. But as I said at the time, verbatim, there's more people participating.
That's good,
And each person is spending more money per head
Yeah.
on cards. And again,
And the hobby of
and the hobby.
Yeah.
And again, this includes all aspects of the money swishing around, including the people that are buying and selling boxes, so long as they're also accounted for within the market. And as we've always said, there's no issue because, someone buys the box for 900, a collector or someone within the hobby buys it for 900. They go and they get their $1,250, $1,400, $1,500, $1,800 now,
Yep.
or whatever they're going for, $1,850, whatever it may be. And that money, we're seeing it recirculated. Those people are then using that money to, complete their sets or, pay off some of their sets. They're going into breaks, they're recirculating it. And the same thing continues to happen. For every break outcome, all those people that get cards, those cards get injected back into the market again in some way, shape or form. And they then become a dollar figure gets defined around each of those.
Yeah.
So there is, in order for everything to sustain, which is what we continue to see, and we continue to see strength in the market, it's all based on the fact that there is more people participating, there's more coming in on an ongoing basis. There's always going to be a natural bleed of people that leave the hobby or stop the hobby or pause the hobby.
So
but it's not matching up against the amount that are coming
that's-
and the amount that each person is spending.
That's a great point about the natural bleed or
Yeah.
the, attrition, you know what I mean? For sure, there are people that are not collecting the same way as they used to.
Yeah.
There are some people that are only collecting subsets opposed
Absolutely.
to team master sets. And obviously a good friend of the show, Martin Davis, is a perfect example of
Yeah.
that. Was a signature collector for 2 clubs.
Yep.
Wound his collecting down to only certain specific things, and people have adjusted and changed.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
People can collect in any way they want, and
Everyone's circumstances
there's no
is for
rush.
them as an individual, and they do, and that's right. And no one should be, there's no way to look at it as someone is a better collector or someone else or
collect
something
however
being
you
right or
want,
wrong.
whatever you want, that's right.
Absolutely, and we're seeing that, and we're seeing, again, I feel like 12 months ago we saw probably the peak of people moving away from team set collecting into individual subset collecting or player collecting. But then I reckon in the last 6 months, we've seen that come right back the other way, and all these people going back, and now they're back filling sets. And again, that's when you start to see those cards that you saw were abundant 18 months ago
Yep.
That for $5, all of a sudden you can't find one for $50.
So I won't say who they are, but there was a couple of guys very early on that came back into our break network this year,
Yep.
and you were telling me about them, saying that they are back. They're back for Supremacy. They're all in, and they're like, "Oh, haven't been in it since 19. So pleased to be back." And you're
Yeah.
like, "So you didn't do Supremacy 21?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Didn't know there was a Supremacy
And
21."
you know,
24 brought them back in.
real world, I've helped out several people in the
Yeah.
last 4 weeks with back catalogue St Kilda cards. And again, not even just St Kilda collectors, it's people going back and doing other particular sets.
Yeah.
Premiership Glories are really, that's one of them, that people are still looking for those ones from 2019 because they either got involved this time, they got involved in 21, or again, they missed a few years or whatever it is. There's always going to be desirability around, as I said before, around desirable cards. That's the reality. There's always going to be a market for it. And superstar players, young and old, there's always going to be people in the future who want them. And, you know, individually, anyone who's listening or watching this would know there's probably someone you know somehow within your trading card network that was collecting something, but then all of a sudden was like, hey, do you know where I can get this 7-year-old card or this 3-year-old card or this 2-year-old card of this player or this
I've had the same questions as you have as well.
You know, I need the, you know, I just want to go get the Dunstall cards from previously after doing these ones from this set or whatever it may be.
And also, I think that there's a lot of collectors that are new and old that just realize that Supremacy is just the shit.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And if you're going to...
Look, I think notwithstanding, there's individual things that are, you know, that quality-wise and whatnot are just as good. But as a set, as a release,
it's
Supremacy is Supremacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Supremacy. And look, again, I think it's fair to say expectation from both of us, or definitely from me, I have been wrong many times in the past, is Supremacy 2024 is the finisher potentially of Supremacy, you know? Like, I think we'll still see Rookie and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I'm not sure that we see full scale like Supremacy release anymore.
There will be an iteration of some sort of premium release, you'd think, in a couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
My best guess is it'd be a National Treasures kind of product, which would be more patches and more...
I'm not saying the concept of Supremacy. I'm saying like
Supremacy as a brand.
As a brand, yeah.
And look, hopefully, when the next cycle happens in 10 years' time, they bring it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They wind it back and do it again, and everyone will be thrilled about it.
I don't know. From my perspective, I feel like, as I've said in the past with other things, that, you know, it gets to a point with a release and with a brand around a release that if you go too far with it, it starts to affect it.
And we saw that with Prestige.
And that's the perfect
And they fucked.
example of it.
Prestige is fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked. You know. And Prestige is, you know, it's fair to say it's pretty much fucked for good.
Yeah, you can't do Prestige.
Like, you know, I'm deep in that release.
I'm
like super deep in Prestige.
Yeah.
I have infinite greens, and
I got infinite all of it.
It's fair to say, like, you can't really find any like St Kilda greens or whatever on the market. But
no one's banging your door down to get
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants them. Like, and it's not going to be any time soon that they do.
Yeah. So obviously, Glenn flagged it before, and someone flagged it, and I'm going to ask you quite simply, what you're doing about this.
Yes.
Are you collecting the cards that might have a St Kilda logo on the back, but don't have a St Kilda jumper on the front?
The short answer is no, I'm not. But I've always been very public about my specific set collecting, and as well because I also hoard bulk, low number, jumper number 01, all that shit.
Yep.
My specific collecting is I have never collected cards of St Kilda players in any other team colours. I'll only do it in St Kilda colours or neutral. So Future Force is a good example.
Yep.
So on that basis, I've gone hard on every release for the past 6 or 7 years. Obviously, I have an all-time master set, but I've gone super hard at, St Kilda players in any of those. And it's also interesting because for me, I go back, so new players that have been drafted, that have been traded to St Kilda, that were in Future Force, whose cards I obviously don't have, I've had to go back and get. And if they've come from big clubs, those cards are impossible to find.
Yep.
You know, so that's the reality. In the same way people need my Josh Battles and, you know, all that sort of stuff.
So I can't even think of a St Kilda card. What's a St Kilda card that has a different coloured jersey on the front?
Luke Ball.
Luke Ball. So if you get...
Actually, he might be Premiership Glory.
Yeah, for Collingwood.
Yeah, for Collingwood.
Yeah.
It might be a Premiership Glory. But
there's no St Kilda logo on the back. of that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It'd be on career game.
Like Brendan Goddard's got an Essendon logo on the back, but he's in St Kilda colours. I'm
Okay.
collecting that card.
Yeah. So it's bad example. Okay, so I know for me personally, I have just done the ones with the Richmond colours.
Yeah.
But if I've received any of those cards, I'm trying to think, Terry Wallace or a couple of those others that are not a Richmond jersey on the front, if I've got them in breaks or whatever, cool, I've kept them. I'm not going to actively get rid of them, but I'm not going to go out and try to get a whole heap of those. Barry Hall, there you go.
Barry Hall. Yeah, so Jim Lawson's about, so I'm not collecting a Barry Hall suit.
But do you class that as a part of the master set?
No.
Okay. So it's purely...
Well, no, but here's the thing, like the master set, because it's totally different. So I, up until 4 years ago, so all the way through to 2020, I'm working off someone else's St Kilda master set template. And, they're full Excel with everything in it up until that point. And there's a stack of cards on their list that I don't have in my set, and I don't want them in my set for that, because I don't view it as part of my set parameters. So, as much as there is structure to sets and things like that, I don't think there's like a golden rule that applies.
You collect the way you want to collect.
Yeah, my St Kilda master set is St Kilda players, whilst they're in wearing their St Kilda colours on cards, but doesn't include any players that ever played for St Kilda if they're in another team's jersey at all.
Okay. So it's purely an aesthetic thing for you.
Yeah. Do you know what? Initially, it wasn't aesthetic. It was actually, I'm in so fucking deep here. I don't want to open a can of worms because I'm a sicko and I've got issues. And
Yeah, fair.
as soon as I go down one player, I'm like, well, actually, I like Gary Ablett Jr. So I now fucking bulk collect Gary Ablett. You know what I mean? So it's better for me, discipline.
And I know, look, we've obviously taken a hard stance on it about what we believed was the fair and equitable way to deal with it in breaks. But
we can only deal with the cards we've got in front of us.
That's right.
That's right. So
can I give you an example?
Yeah.
So Kevin Sheedy and Mick Malthouse,
Yeah.
okay, have evolution cards. They're both wearing Richmond jumpers.
Yeah.
There is no world that I associate, and I get it, I didn't see them play.
So do you have that Richmond card in your
I've got them both,
Yeah.
okay, but because they're wearing Richmond jumpers. But I don't see that Kevin Sheedy as a Richmond card. He is associated with Essendon.
I didn't even know he played for. As far as I'm concerned, he's just a guy that coached Essendon and is really good at coaching.
And he coaches the Giants,
Yeah, I
etc.
like him playing.
And
He
Mick
was alright, whatever.
Malthouse, I
Same
don't
thing.
see as a Richmond player.
He was just a coach.
So what my solution is, instead of just sort of kicking Select about saying you could have done it better, if they ever did something like that again, why don't they do what they did with the longest serving
Do a
captains?
picture of each.
No, a different card of it. A
different card of
So
each,
if you've got Mick Malthouse as a Richmond player as one card, you've got Mick Malthouse as an Essendon coach, and you've got Mick Malthouse as a GWS coach.
Yeah.
And do 3 different cards. Yes, I know it makes sets bigger and like that, but just like the longest serving captains have the 9 booklet, which they're all on,
Yeah.
which people don't necessarily want because it's got other players.
Yeah.
But it's also got the individual card that they can get.
You know what's interesting? So
That's the way you solve those problems. Like
Yeah.
people don't want fundamentally to be collecting cards that don't have their own team colours on
I
it.
agree. What's interesting for me, so the Plugger Buddy booklet,
Yep.
it's literally the only card. It's the only card in my collection, I think, that has a player with a non-St Kilda jumper also on the card.
Yep.
Like I don't even, because I don't have that Ian Stewart triple legends captain or whatever the hell it was.
But he's in St Kilda or Richmond in that.
He's in St Kilda in that, but I don't know. There hasn't even been really circumstances before this release. This is a very unique situation.
Well, I had it with Dusty and Gary Ayres and Hodge
Yeah.
on the Norm Smith
Norm
booklet.
Smith. Yeah, that's right. But you only see this sort of happen in Supremacy.
Yeah, and I love that booklet, but I don't display cards. Mine sit in the safe. But I wouldn't be rushing to put that front and center because there's 2 Hawthorn guys on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't love the card.
Yeah.
I think the only other time that we've seen it was Bruins in 2020 when they had the Burgoyne brothers
Yeah.
and the Rocker brothers, maybe.
Yeah, the Rocker Brothers. So the North Melbourne
And
Collingwood card. Yeah, that's
you know what I
right.
mean? So it doesn't. fundamentally, I think that it's just something that it either split the cards so there's one of each and people could choose what they
Yeah.
want, or think of a different subset.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, I
Because those evolution cards, the prices on them,
yeah.
you look at the Sheedy Evolution versus the Sheedy Premiership one,
Yeah.
massive difference in
So
price.
the whole situation is just super confusing for collectors. And again, like, this is not a matter of personally like agreeing or disagreeing with cards having logos on them or not having logos and who they represent.
Sure.
It's just like, yeah, as I said, it's more both from a collector level and from a commercial business level.
Sure.
We are all in the same boat here with trying to deal with the situation.
Yep.
And whether that's with what cards you actually want in your collection because it's confusing you, and or if it's on a breaks level, whatever it is, it's definitely a confusing situation.
Yeah, and on a commercial level, that's right. We made a decision that, you know,
Well, that was based on transparency and precedent.
That's right.
And ultimate fairness.
and
Where,
other people are doing other things, and
but
that's
that's the thing,
fine.
but it was
That's their choice.
it was taking out the any subjective part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
logo
make
on the
it-
back,
That's
that's
right.
right.
It's very like that's it. It's black
Yep.
and white. There can't be any of this. Well, I disagree. He should be 30% this, 70% this, or
Yep.
played 112 games here but coached 47 premierships.
Yep.
Whatever. Like that. That is what it is. And look, I'm not having a go at anyone or how they're doing
It's
it.
just what we do.
Yeah, that's what we did, and people
Yep.
do it all different ways, and that's as long as they're transparent with it, that's the key to that. Supremacy. What else? Is there anything else that anyone would like to get off their chest? With
No, I wanna
regards
get
to
something off my
supremacy?
chest.
Yeah.
I want to thank Select and thank you, Jenks,
me.
being the owner of Select.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
I fucking love the dual signatures.
The Dual Six.
Fucking love them.
Sick cards.
And I know it's not 9 o'clock, I probably shouldn't be swearing, but I love them.
Absolutely.
They are the blacks I love, the pearls, but those dual signatures,
I've bought 5 of the St Kilda ones.
I have a couple more than that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Again, that's a card which is it's been overlooked to some sort of
They
extent.
are a beautiful
Numbered to
card.
50, 2 big players from every club.
130 point.
Yeah.
Amazing card.
And some prices have been. I've picked up a few at some really amazing
I
prices.
wish I jumped on them earlier.
Yeah.
I've had to pay a little bit more, but I love them. I love them. The 9 Sig booklet. We were talking, pre-game or pre-show about how many we've seen, and we had to go. You and I had to go out and buy them.
It's amazing.
We've pulled 2 in breaks, I think, and
Yeah.
I think Cherry's pulled a couple,
Yeah.
and a couple of others have popped around.
They have.
Where will that card, because now we're getting into, and we've talked about the world of memorabilia and cards kind of meshing together.
Yeah.
Where is that card going to sit? I'm not really so worried about financially, but
The whole scheme of cards.
is it going to be a Grail card, or is that just going to be like, remember when they did that 9 card booklet?
I don't know. So for me, it's the first time again, aside from the buddy. So this is the first release ever that I've get cards that have other players on them because they fit my set parameter.
Yep.
Booklet's sick, cool, buddy thing. Like, if there wasn't the 9 Sig, it would be more exciting for me to have that other card, but because there's a 9 Sig, it's different. The 9 Sig is like, it's crazy. It's the player representation, the physicality of the card,
Big.
the
It's
first,
like it's like
the
a
first of its kind.
Nintendo Switch. It's big.
On card signature, so not comparable to any of the US stuff, which has got, where they have
Stickers.
infinite sticker sheets signed and they just attach them to whatever they want.
Yep.
That is a masterpiece of a card. It's effectively a memorabilia item. The process involved in getting that signed. So can you guys imagine what is involved from the design of that card through to you actually getting one of those cards in a box and what it goes through? It's not just a card getting printed in China. That's it.
You
Comes out,
made
what
it.
is.
Tell the process.
So that's getting designed, it's getting printed, it's getting attached to a variety of different materials. It would come back to Australia. It would then have to be taken effectively in person to each of the 25 cards, or let's call it 30 because they probably got some extra ones done for whatever purpose, going to each individually of those people. It's not like they're getting them all in a room
Hang
at
on.
the one
And in
time.
order,
In order.
so they don't
So they
smudge.
don't stuff the signature up and smudge
Yeah.
it or mess up the other person. Getting it all right, repacked into the product. Like, a lot has gone into that.
Yeah.
So there's a story there of that to me has value in itself in what it's taken to actually get that card
Yep.
to the end person, and the flights and the travel and the scheduling, and
He must have been tired.
there's so much involved. So what do I think about that? I don't know. I've got one, and it's the first time like I don't have a player on the previous quads from the previous releases or any of the triples or anything like that. For me personally, as much as I think, I still have a Nick Rewalt booklet that is the absolute nuts, this card is definitely more valuable. It's more desirable in terms of the very broad audience that it appeals to. And I think they are effectively, although we can't see it reflected at the moment because no one's really seen them change hands at a public level. You and I are obviously aware they've changed hands. We know of 4 of them that have changed hands between a cash or cash and trade value of between 10 and 13,000.
Yep.
We don't know about what the other ones.
We actually don't know. I bought another one the other day.
Oh right, okay.
So and just to answer someone's question, Francis, no, the 2 that we bought very early on for ourselves, for our PCs.
Yep.
But I did buy another one a couple of days ago, which might go in an RGB black.
Okay. So,
I
yeah,
didn't say that.
I'll see that on the balance sheet for RGB collectibles. So, yes, to me, it's the biggest and most significant AFL card to date.
Yep.
I'll just call it that. Like, because that's for my personal thinking. What's it worth long term? I don't know. It should be worth more than what they're selling for now. Does it, we're well aware of what happened at the previous Supremacy, including cards that we sold on consignment for some people.
Sure.
Quad SIGs, and the prices we got for those cards
Crazy.
were far exceeding the price of these 9 SIGs. So I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, we it's a kind of public record, but we sold a Quad SIG that was a jumper number for like $22,000. And they were sort of floating around $7,000-8,000.
Yeah.
Once they dry up and a big collector wants them,
Yeah, that's it.
they're happy to pay. Ricky, just to touch base on that, the signatures and the patches kind of interchange with each other. So if you got 1 SIG and 2 patches, I imagine the triple just replaced one of the signatures. That's how you ended up with a triple, a normal patch, and 1 SIG.
So we could look back at the breaks and see.
I'm sure it's probably happened
I
somewhere.
can't remember.
Yeah.
Yes, Wade, we will absolutely get to that shortly. And I saw a couple of other people did also ask about what else
we'll
to
get to
expect. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah. Settle down, Wade. Settle down. What's your? Obviously, we talked about the booklets. Oh, about the booklets. All right.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a classic Supremacy booklet curse on a few players that have moved clubs.
Yes.
Bagsmith.
Yeah, you got to
Parker.
think Bailey Smith is
2 years ago, Bailey Smith was the biggest player in the Dogs
that,
ever.
If that came out 2 years ago, it's
Massive.
huge. It's so huge. It's so unfortunate.
But one thing I will say, all bar probably the North Melbourne jumper, which is okay, the jumpers they got this year for the patches
And the way they cut
and
them.
the way they cut them, hats off, Select.
The way they cut them.
The patches are so much better. Like in 21, there was some real, I wouldn't say duds, but they were fucking duds. Patches are like one color,
single colour,
nothing.
just, yeah.
You really don't have much of that this year.
Agree.
They did a really good job. Talk to me base. So we've got the 95s and the 65s and then the blacks. We've talked about blacks. Do you think we need them?
Moving forward,
Do we keep the 95 for tradition? Did they need the 65s?
again, like it's the base cards are a victim of their own success.
And all their older brothers'
But
signatures.
do you know what I mean? Like the base cards, 2019 Supremacy. I haven't looked for a while, but I'm pretty sure it's hard to find any half decent base cards for under like $100 or $200.
Sorry, sorry, I just want to touch on something just
Yeah.
quick. Vic, so I've heard this many times. It would be awesome if they match the photos on the booklets with the patches and jerseys.
Yeah.
I've asked this question before. So generally Select buy the patches or buy the jerseys from an auction, normally club auctions.
Yeah.
They don't get issued the clubs. You wouldn't believe this, but Select actually have huge restrictions on the photos they can use. They get supplied a certain amount of photos from the AFL media, and then they have to use those photos across all the ranges of cards throughout the year. So it's not as simple as going and saying, Nick Dacos, here's his jumper, here's his picture from that game. They physically just don't have pictures from every player at every game. So it's a purely logistics thing. It would be great, and I know a couple of times where they've used clash jumpers as pictures, and it kind of looks weird in a subset. I think that happened with St Kilda. They were using that yellow jumper,
Yeah.
and everyone else was in the normal tradition,
Yeah.
and one was yellow.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, there was huge reductions on the amount of photos they can use.
Yeah.
So it would be great, and as more money
It would be
is
amazing.
spent,
It would be incredible.
But
if
it's a
if
huge
it could be made
task.
to happen some way.
Yeah.
I think it's at this point it's aspirational. Yeah.
spot on, Vic, and that is, as I'm just reading this for the people that are listening, makes sense why they reuse some photos on a variety of cards.
Yeah.
You're absolutely spot on.
So
They just
AFL Media
Controlled.
they authorize. There's basically a system that all license holders log into to get
a portal.
it's a portal.
Yep.
And it's for all categories of licenses, and that is the imagery, audio, visual, everything that you're allowed to use as authorized from AFL Media, and it gets updated on an ongoing basis. And the funny thing is, there's been releases, I can't remember which ones they were, but I know we talked about it at the time, where entire releases have actually taken longer and been delayed because AFL Media has had a delay in providing the images to portal
Yep.
in order to get the things printed properly and get it done in time. So
Yeah.
it's very much at the mercy. You could almost say it's antiquated to an extent, or not antiquated. It's just the control that AFL has goes beyond what anything else
logistics
does.
too.
Yeah,
I think that there is, and you know this better with media stuff than I do. I think there is 2 or 3 AFL photographers per game, especially the bigger games. They physically can't get multiple photos of every player, every game. Like
Yeah.
if you're forwards or midfielders or stuff like that, you're going to get more photos because there's action.
absolutely.
If you're
But
some winger that gets 5
it's
touches,
not even just that though. It's also
know.
it's actually the processing of it as well.
Of course,
for the people
of
to then
course.
go through it, filter out what's usable,
Yep.
upload it into the portals for every single player. Like it's a highly complex thing, and that's why
You're right,
you
it is-
actually see
it
them-
is red tape
You,
wave,
you
for
see
sure.
them don't get updated for 2 or 3 years. Or
Yep.
there's literally cards from like 10 years ago that have the same image of players.
Yeah.
Like it's unfortunately that they're at the mercy. In the same way is you would have an expectation as an official license holder and creating huge volume of product that directly represents the league, and you have to deal with them backwards and forwards. How is the league not the supplier of the jerseys and everything else that the license
crazy.
that the license holders actually need?
Yeah.
Like how like again, excuse the language, like how the fuck are they having to go out there
And buy
as
them.
we see them
Yeah.
and go and bid on club auctions, rebuy official items that have already come through the club or through the AFL auctions in order to then insert them in the cards? If all of a sudden there was the ability for the AFL to actually supply them directly and for Select to be able to get them off the AFL, then the idea and the realm of talking about matching photos with jerseys and things like that, that becomes a reality.
Sure.
That's when all of a sudden those opportunities start to open up. The issue is just trying to get to that point to begin with. And and again, there's just so much, seems like there's so much shit going on at a club level, let alone an AFL head office level, just for them to be able to make sure they're getting access to certain jerseys and stuff. There's just so much,
and we've got to be careful what we wish for, because if it gets to the point that we're like, we demand a jumper that we have or a patch of is the same as the photo, then suddenly some bright spark's going to say, cool, well, we'll just give you a player edition jumper that matches the photo, but it's not match worn.
Yeah, it won't be match worn.
And we
That's
do
right.
not want that.
Yeah, that's right.
We want on-card signatures. We want match-worn jumpers.
100%.
Because I don't know if people know this in America, they're not match-worn jerseys.
Yeah.
They literally just cut up normal jerseys
Yeah.
for all the patches.
Yeah.
They're not match-worn. unless it's something really specific or high end.
Oh man, some of that shit. What was that Jersey Fusion shit, which just had retail jerseys?
You love that
Or just offcuts of material inserted into old cards.
So we've got to be really careful what we wish for. But Vic, it's a valid point, and aesthetically, there's a couple of things that would be great. But yeah, just to give you a snapshot of the logistics.
Yeah.
We've talked about how much we think's open.
All right, here's a quick one for you.
Okay.
As we move into the end of the segment with Supremacy, and we'll talk about the other things that people want to talk about as well, is where are we at now? Where are we going to be in 6 months? And where are we going to be in 2 years? In terms of the cycle of the value and the rarity of Supremacy 2024.
Well, in 6 months, I'm hoping I'm having a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm really tired. Look, I think it dries up really quickly.
Yeah.
I think that you find that there are the people that are the longer term collectors that put their master sets collections together. They go away in a shelf, cabinet, whatever, and they're gone.
Yep.
You've probably got a certain amount of people that have come into Supremacy, spent some money, realize come Christmas time, I want to go and buy a bike, sell their stuff. In 6 to 12 months' time, once the team collectors, the master set guys are all through it, there is going to be a big percentage of Supremacy that's just gone.
Yeah.
I don't see the bigger cards, signatures, the patches, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's always going to be outliers. I think we've already bounced off the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't think the bottom is here. We had the bottom a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think we're already
You're still finding
bouncing
a
back.
couple of super bargains, but
Sure.
one, I definitely agree with that. The bargains are getting snapped off pretty much instantly.
So fast. Yeah.
And anything else that is still, people feel like they're starting to dry up, that's all getting picked off now as well. I definitely agree. And I look at it just based on my watch list, or I have a search string 2024 Supremacy St Kilda.
Yep.
And I just have it filtered to new listings. So then I can see obviously the newest ones first on eBay, and I sort of check that.
85 times a day.
I would like to do it at least once a day, but it's usually once a week at the moment. But I'm not seeing, seriously, for about 3 weeks, I haven't seen any significant amounts of inventory being listed online, which is generally a sign that,
Well, this is not as much being opened.
more is selling than is being listed.
Yep.
The trend has completely switched that direction now. The underpriced good shit is getting bought up by people,
Savvy collectors.
a bit more savvy, or people who obviously still don't have it and
Yep.
thought it was going to bottom out even further, and now they're being forced to buy it.
Yep.
But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think there's just some incredibly well-priced cards from this release at the moment that, I told you I didn't want to go, and I didn't have the time to go as hard as I have in the past on releases, but there's just been there's been a few different cards there that I've had to go and get 5 to 10 of them, because I just can't not, I can't not at the prices that I've seen them for. So yeah, I agree with you about where we are now, where we're going to be.
I mean, in
a couple
12 months
years,
or 2 years, it's hard to say. There could be, you won't select, there could be another 85 releases in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be. I feel like this year was a big year.
Certain cards are will stand the test of time. So the same things. And again, to me, the comparison in my mind is like the Nick Rewalt longest serving captain signature from this release.
Good luck finding them in 6 months.
Which is numbered to 50. And then you've got the Nick Rewalt captain signature, which is numbered to 50 from whenever the fuck it was, a long
60,
time ago.
50?
Numbered to 50, I think that was. Maybe it's 50, I'm pretty sure.
And the new
Could be
ones
60.
The new ones are 60?
No, other way around. I don't know. I can't
Either
remember.
way.
It's either 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And all I know is Nick Rewalt longest serving captains selling for 1/3 of the price of a Nick Rewalt captain signature, or 1/4 or 1/3 of the price if you find it cheap enough.
Yep.
It's I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Luke, we've already talked about the blacks before. They are only going to head in one direction. It's the same. We talked about the reds last year. Yes, there's some reds that you can pick up pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But good luck finding Petrarca, Dusty, Jack Steele, any of the good players. Are you going to be able to find a Jack Lukosius for $75 somewhere? Probably.
Yeah.
But literally those those blacks like the Reds, all the good players,
Someone
all the
did
good
say
teams.
earlier, Jared Smith said that's
They're
what we
gonna drop.
thought. But Jared Smith did say before that's what we thought was going to happen with the 45 from Supremacy
Find
2021.
them
No, here's the thing though, Jared's right to an extent there for sure, because there's a stack of them which they did never go up too much in value, but then there's a stack you just can't get now.
Sure.
But Jared, I do think you're right there, and I think the problem with them, what's happened now, is again what's happened there with the value of those cards is a result of all the good releases that have come out, where people don't give a fuck about a base variation number to 45. Because there's so much other good shit that's numbered to 40 or 50 that's signatures or higher
That's
end.
a good point. The variation thing, and that was one thing they did do smart. As much as I knocked about the 3 levels of base, they're 3 separate cards.
Yeah.
They're 3 subsets.
Yeah.
Whereas 21, that was probably a problem having
Silver, gold,
all look
red.
the same picture, and literally it was
That's
just difference
right,
in
and
number.
that's why I think.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
It's a good point.
I don't think the comparison is. I don't think it's like for like as such, Jared, with the pearls, because I think the pearl's a completely unique looking card. Like in reality, the pearl, if it wasn't checklisted as effectively a base card, it's its own insert set. It's a subset, and it's effectively probably based on the look and the appeal of the
like Footy's
card.
finest.
But that's right. It's probably if it wasn't a base card, and I still think in the long run, anyway, regardless of being a base card, I think the pearls become the most desirable non-signature subset in the whole of Supremacy 22. Well, that's my call there, Jeffries. Long term, in 2 years' time, we're going to look at the measurement. The black pearl cards collectively will be the most valuable non-signature, non-patch subset from Supremacy.
So Nathan Rains is like, the Newcomb Black Pearls are basically extinct. Look, Nathan, there's no question they're drying up, but I think you'll find that there are some savvy Hawks collectors.
Harley Reid, that's true.
Yeah,
It's like
I'm
Darcy
about to
Wilson.
touch
Yeah.
on Harley Reid,
Yeah.
but I think you'll find that there's some savvy people that have bought up large amounts of those cards when they were going cheap. You don't know that they've got 10 of them, and they're just going to appear. I'll talk about Harley Reid specifically in a second, but big win adding the rookie card, the RC.
Sick.
So good. So it was McKercher, your mate in Gold Coast, Darcy Wilson.
Yeah.
I know he's St Kilda. The Gold Coast bloke.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name. Your
Oh, yeah,
guy.
your mate.
Your guy.
Your guy.
And Harley Reid. The Harley Reid Pearl, all right, the amount of people that message me asking me
Looking for it.
if
Because
we
that's
have
his
one.
first rookie card.
Number to 35, going for like $1,000. They are Walters, yeah. Shanks' mate. You just can't get them. And again, I imagine there's some savvy West Coast guys that picked them up cheap early. But if that is $1,000 card,
Yeah.
what is his DPS and his Supremacy 25 going to be worth?
Yeah.
You're talking Dacos numbers here for a West Coast card. It's actually, it could exceed Dacos numbers.
Are we seeing the pricing in all of a sudden of people not caring about what team
Speculation, baby.
the super hot speculative
That's the US model.
new rookie? Like,
Yeah.
are we seeing more of that creep into the hobby?
Of course we
I think
are.
we've seen a bit more of it. Is there also more of, the reverse of what we were talking before, where people, think a player like Harley Reid's going to end up at a Victorian club at some point, and they don't mind having his card in West Coast.
Well, I mean, I'm a Yankees fan of baseball. I don't follow it heavily.
Yeah.
But I have Shohei rookie cards
Oh yeah. Okay.
because he is a Jet,
Yeah.
speculating on them, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think more people, and especially the new guys and, the butters of this world, that are speculating and looking to flip and as a business, which we need these people in the market.
Absolutely.
They are targeting rookies. They're targeting
Absolutely.
DPSs, and they know that these cards, if these players become the next Dusty, not Steele, but Dusty,
please.
but actually successful, win flags, they become the new Lee Matthews or whoever it is, those cards are worth stupid money in the future.
I agree.
And they're looking long term.
On to something. I have one final question for you about Supremacy.
Yes.
What do you think is the one type of card for you in your mind that's outperforming or overperforming? I'm interested to see if we're going to think the same thing here.
I think the booklets are overperforming, but I'm not surprised.
You think they're getting too much money?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
If we'd said before that you couldn't buy a Dacos for less than 4, you couldn't get a Walsh for less than 3, you're gonna have to buy a Will Day at 2.5. You're gonna have to buy a.
But is that not right relative to what other cards cost of the same players?
If you wind back to when we talked before 21, we didn't think a booklet was going to be over $1,500, and we said it on air. We looked like idiots,
Yeah.
and then it got released, and everything was 2,000. I was thinking that these cards were going to push 2.5. Some of them. The cheapest Dacos I've seen is 3,750.
See, I don't know. I have a different way of thinking to lots of people, and I'm sure they're going to give it to me in a second in the comments, where, and I've always said this, Supremacy booklets are the absolute pinnacle of AFL cards. There is nothing as good as them.
And that's why I'm not surprised.
And nothing compares to them. And, you know, a fucking platinum DPS doesn't even sit on the same shelf as a fucking booklet from my perspective. I think a lot of people are going to actually disagree with that.
No, everyone's saying booklets on the chat. But
booklets are the pinnacle. So to me, if you've got a good player, you know, Jack Steele, for example,
yeah.
his booklets, the price of it, and I'm not trying to drive up the price on myself here.
You've got them all.
Because I'm still buying if the right ones come out and I see the right ones.
Yeah.
But the reality is that card should be more valuable than any other Jack Steele cards, and it rightfully is more valuable than any other Jack Steele cards.
Yeah.
Just like the fucking Walsh booklet should be worth much more than the Walsh DPS, and the Cripps booklet should be worth more than the fucking Cripps DPS and anything else.
Yep.
I don't fucking care. Number to 25, match worn booklet from the ultimate supreme supremacy series of cards. They are the fucking nuts. Good luck if you're going to change my mind.
I'm not going to, because that's what I said.
Yeah.
I think that probably the card that you were sniffing around we haven't talked about, but we did call it.
I think
is the triple.
The triple. Yeah, that's right.
We said it
called
early.
it.
We
Said
called
it was going to be worth more than it should be,
That's crazy.
and it is. And you can't fucking find them.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one Richmond.
I've got one.
No, you don't. I got you another one.
Yes.
Really
Okay, so I've got two, and I have been steadfast in my position.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay the price that people are asking for these, and slowly they end up on the ended fucking section on my fucking watch list, and they're getting bought up, and I have conceded, and I'm at peace in my mind.
You fucked it.
That as long as I have one, which I do, two now.
You got the jumper number of someone.
Okay, well I'll just be content with that.
Yeah, I've got one Richmond one, and a really nice one came out in our break the other night, and I thought about stealing it.
Yeah.
But ethically, that's not cool. But yeah, they're really hard to get. Really hard to get.
Lou Wade, I'd rather bulk Jewel Sigs and pay 1K for a Whitfield booklet. Why? Why, Wade?
Why, Wade?
Why, Wade?
And to be
what
fair,
if it was a Toby Green booklet?
He did that last year.
Oh, yeah, okay. So what would you rather pay? The grand that you were paying or less for Toby Green booklets?
Yeah.
Or Jewel Sigs? 4 Jewel Sigs?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been really good. Look, it's been a great release. I think the majority of people, everyone got a box that wanted to in sale. Everyone has been able to get their
Everyone who
cards
wanted
they
to sell their box sold their box with no problems.
Yeah,
People who opened early, as was our advice was, if you're buying boxes and you don't intend to flip them, open them,
sell it,
get them to market, get your trades done, get your sales done.
They've all made good money.
Pretty much like anyone who sold cards in the first week and transitioned cards, I think did extremely well, which set them up to be in a position to buy all the other stuff they wanted and have a great time. I'm sure people felt the financial burden, but I feel like once you get through that, you sit there with your beautiful prized possession and your cards and supremacy, the good, the bad, the indifferent,
It's been
It's
very
been
good.
fucking awesome.
Been really good.
Like,
And I think, and I'll say this nicely, there is always going to be people that are going to complain. They're going to complain.
Wade.
Like Wade.
Like Wade.
That are going to complain
Sorry,
that
Wade.
it's
We love you.
too sunny, it's too cold. I only got a $50 note, not 100. There's always going to be people complain, but really, when everyone
You can't keep
steps
everyone happy, but we think
The
at
masses
this
are
point
happy.
the masses are happy.
Yeah.
I've seen the least amount, pretty much basically none recently, but the least amount of negative posts about a release. Normally in that first 48, 72 hours, you see the fucking hater train. I've seen the least of that. We've seen the most satisfaction. We've seen the highest volume of posting of sales posts, trade posts, and comments on those posts, which mean transactions have taken place.
Our community's been booming, as have others.
It's
as
been
well.
incredible. The hobby is flying.
Yep.
People will say what they want to say, but that's the reality of it. So what do you think is still to come for 2024?
Well, obviously, I'm in a very lucky position that my business partner owns Select. So
Always good.
I know what's coming. But Series 2 is coming. It's not an issue of if, it's when.
That's right.
I've physically seen signed DPSs already.
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
Are they?
They look great.
Yeah.
People are going to love them.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a Harley Reid one.
Yeah.
They are sexual.
Yeah.
People are going to love them.
Yeah.
My best guess is we're going to see Series 2 in the next couple of weeks. And you know what?
Like the physical release, or we're going to see an announcement of it.
Somewhere in there. I reckon November we'll get it. We'll get it.
So it's going to come out before Christmas.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's my best guess. And if you'd said to me the night we did the yes, I thought you'd like that, Cobber. If you'd said to me the night we did the Supremacy preview video that 4 weeks or 5 weeks after Supremacy, people would be gagging for another release.
But that's the crazy
People
thing.
are ready. People want it.
Again, so let's just to let's wind
what
that
do you guys
back
think in the
and
comments?
dissect that. You're talking about we're saying how effectively $14 million or 10 to 14 $10 to $14 million has changed hands in the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's slushed around and huge money spent, all this shit's happened, and people are like, when is the next release coming? We need it now.
Yep.
We
Benny,
want it
I don't think
now.
it's too late. I think that people are always, when we first started RGV back in 2020, we were doing dominance breaks, and then out of nowhere, Brilliance came.
Yeah.
We were breaking that all summer, and all people wanted to do was get stuck into a new release.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to have people that consume it heavily, and then obviously Christmas will happen. And then as soon as Christmas is done, people want to do footy cards again. Yes, Supremacy Rookie is coming, Cobber. It is coming as well. But you'll hear about more of that. That shouldn't be daunting for people, and everyone will find out in good time about that. But yeah, definitely Series 2 is coming, and Rookie will be at some point.
Yeah, Series 2, obviously we've seen a few DPS leaks already. There's
Yep.
been some photos circulating. Clearly it's legacy.
Settle down, Wade. We're just having a bit of fun. Don't stress, buddy. We love you.
Yeah,
We know
Wade,
you're
don't
not
worry.
complaining.
We're just using you as a scapegoat
Yeah, yeah.
because you're an easy target.
Just
Wade.
the whipping boy. Don't worry, Wade. We love you. We know you're not
know,
complaining.
Supporting GWS.
He's a Geelong supporter.
I know, but he's a pretend Geelong supporter.
We love you, Wade.
DPSs, that seems to be what it's all about. Series 2 has gone from the release, which was all about the high-end case hits, to effectively the release that's all about speculation on the drafts.
Yeah, there's DPS
So
and
it's
there's signatures.
what rookies are they going to be, and what variations of rookies they're going to be, and what DPSs and what DPS variations are they going to be.
Yep.
Is the order feels out of whack, and I definitely agree with what everyone's
I
saying.
don't know if we've spoken about this
Supremacy
publicly.
worst and first.
There was some logistical problems of why they had to flip it. But in a perfect world, they would have done Series 2 first.
would have been
there
Series
was
2, and then it
logistical.
would have been Supremacy coming out now. Essentially,
Correct.
is probably what, and then to be followed by Supremacy Rookie. Now we've effectively seen Series 2 coming after Supremacy. Obviously, we're expecting Supremacy.
Are
Rookie
you
come
ready
as
to
well.
announce
What?
Gem 2024?
Your favourite?
Is Gem 2024 coming out as well?
Fuck. Would you be prepared to go live on air right now and say, if they do Gem again, you're resigning from Card Authority?
No, I want them to do Gem again.
Oh, fuck.
I think they can improve it,
But not fuck it up.
not fuck it up.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Select.
look, I love Gem. I think the Gem base are beautiful. I think
still
the Gem
think
SIGs are great.
It's gonna take a very long time, but
Yeah.
they will be worth serious money one day, not just a SIG.
If they do Gem
The
next
other shit
year
will be
and they
worth
add
serious
more
money.
inserts, the price is better, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, love it. Don't throw me under the bus there. I'm not resigning. But just don't do it this year.
Yeah, something's got to change with it to make it
Look,
right.
Ricky's like, bring on Gem, bring on Gem. Yeah.
Will Supremacy Rookie have SIGs? That would be very interesting if it did.
I
What would that do to DPSs?
yeah, that's why.
Because it effectively becomes a shorter print DPS, right? On a thick card. There's a question to ponder. If they did sign the Supremacy Rookies to 25, would the Harley Reid Supremacy Rookie SIG be more valuable and desirable than the Harley Reid Platinum DPS to 40?
Of course.
But I think there's still people that don't rate Supremacy Rookie. They look at Series 2. So the question is,
If Supremacy Rookie became a signature...
but do the Harley Reid cards now impact the Series 2? So is a Series 2 Rookie card going to be less valuable than the previous ones because they've already had those top players, in the top 3 players or whatever, in...
But the whole market's moved.
In an earlier release.
Think about,
But what's the first rookie?
I'm not going to have this conversation.
But what's the first rookie for Harley Reid?
Well, the card that we just had in
Supremacy.
Yeah. But rookie cards are from their rookie year. And again, we've spoken about this another topic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole of just defining what one rookie card should be. And we could do a podcast on this when Series 2 comes out. But rookie cards are from their rookie year. Not their first card, not their first time they had a loaf of bread.
Oh, no, but old fella Rossthorn, that's not signed.
Doesn't matter.
If someone went and got it signed...
A rookie card is from their rookie year, not the first time they played at a club, after switching clubs, or the first time the card was in a loaf of bread.
So the true rookie card you're saying is not the first card from their first year?
It's still a rookie card.
But is it...
It's their first rookie card.
Okay. So is the first rookie card better than the second, third, fourth, fifth, and seventh?
Collect any way you fucking want to collect.
Ah, there it is.
But a rookie card is from their rookie year. And it's an American term, your rookie season. It's not from your fucking... Rookie card doesn't mean your first card.
I agree. Yeah, it's like it's not your first card with Geelong after you already played for Hawthorn.
Yeah, it's just... And again, there's other people that like to beat their own drum for own self-interest that it's their...
Oh, the DPS is getting votes here. But hold on. We're going to recall everything because the most important thing that's going on in the comments at the moment is people talking about how much they like Gem.
Yeah, I told you.
Oh, fucking unbelievable. Fucking Gem's making a comeback. That's it. I'm calling it in straight after the episode. We're getting Gem back.
I told you, Gem's good.
And all you guys, I want proof of purchase of whatever the box limits are for all of you people that are massively
We've
talking it
still
up
got a
in the
bit of Gem
comments.
that we can break if
Yeah,
want.
we do. Look, no, as I've always said with Gem,
The base is beautiful.
Yeah.
The SIGs are beautiful.
bad timing, some disastrous distribution situation
Too expensive.
occurred. Price wasn't right, but
Yeah.
long term, those fucking cards, the sapphires, the emeralds, the rubies, are all going to be worth what they should be,
Yep.
and the SIGs pretty much already are.
Everyone is fucking Team Gem. Hasn't that blown up in your face? You own the company. Take it on board.
We're going to do it again. Get around it. Get around Gem, everyone.
All right. So yeah, there's lots of good things to come. And again, the one thing
I did that
can't
too, Wado.
The one thing I can't stress to people, all right, for the people that are feeling like this is overwhelming, expensive, let's just straighten up here for
Yeah.
a second. You don't have to go and do your master set in a week.
Absolutely.
There is time, there is stock. Go and pick off the things that you want, pick the things at a good price. Don't feel pressure just because Janks is buying all the cards that you have to do your set in a week. There is going to be cards for everyone.
And Ricky, the answer to that is no. We have still not been contacted
No,
about
the bounty is still alive.
The bounty. There's, yes. For those who don't know, somehow if you end up on a break on someone's breaks that has Gem in it, Ricky and Co, you can thank me later for promoting your Gem breaks.
Yep.
But the jumper number Dacos, we put up a bounty. There's lots of new people on the stream, obviously.
$10,000.
$10,000. We have a bounty up for the Dacos jumper number gem signature. So if anyone does hit that,
and
you
just
can
to
come claim your
confirm
10K.
for the newer people that are in the community, you really messed up your camera now. You look like a really skinny. We don't flex. You're looking at it. We're not buying the card so we can tuck it away. It will go in an RGB black.
Absolutely.
repack.
We wanted to get it at the time, and it never came out. And then we have to release a whole RGB black repack without the Dacos in it.
Yeah, that was annoying.
So hopefully, if someone hits that card, we'll have it in the next repack.
Can you imagine if we get it? We're going to have a 9 sig and also...
Wade says it needs to go up in price. Come on, make the call right now, Jefferson.
All right, fuck it. 12 grand.
12K.
12K.
Fucking
if it comes
12K.
out. We're doing jam breaks all next week.
12K, you can take it in cash, break credit, whatever you want.
Fucking top loaders.
Repacks. We'll even give you some repacks
Yeah.
if it's, for the repack that goes in.
All right, Wild A has pushed it. $12,000. It's in...
How did we get onto a conversation that ended an episode
You challenged me.
talking about the Dacos bounty
Because
from a year ago?
you thought that everyone was going to...
Oh, Dan Parker's pulled out the PM. He might have it.
Oh, message, Dan.
This could be
message,
you, Dan.
message.
Everyone be on the lookout. Dan Parker could be $12,000 richer tonight.
No, Vic. Good try. 12K of top loaders. Yeah, I mean, any way you want the 12K.
Yeah, however you want it.
And being serious, if you are interstate, Janks and I will fly.
Yeah.
Fly to wherever you are to get it. There was obviously a bit of a scammy post 6 months ago, someone saying they had it.
We were prepared to go.
We will fly. We'll
We were
fly
ready.
anywhere that anyone is, and we will come and pick it up. You can actually see Janks, which is rare.
A hologram.
Yeah, and we
AI.
will get it. So there you
AI.
go. Fuck, you thought everyone was going to support you, didn't they? They all came on AJ one side.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll fly you out first class. Whatever you want, Maggie.
There's only business class domestically anyway, but we'll shout you busy.
Yeah, whatever. If you want to come
We'll give
here,
you a
we'll fly
bizzo.
Yep.
Please don't live in Perth. We'll shout you bizzo.
Red eye. Make it red eye.
Points, red eye flight.
Yeah, just went down 7K. That's right.
Steak dinner, absolutely, at
Yeah.
Squires, which is our local favourite steak
Yeah,
restaurant.
we'll take you out for
We'll
dinner.
take you out.
Absolutely.
There you go. So the commitment's gone up. It's now 12,000. Business class flight. 2 nights accommodation.
2, 1.
No, because they need time to digest the steak.
They can do that in the fucking morning.
We'll fight over 2 nights accommodation and a nice steak dinner, and AJ will treat you to a bottle of wine.
I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that. Then you're not staying at Crown. I'll give you that. You're gonna have 2 nights at the fucking Sandbelt. All right. Let's. We've gone well over time.
We have.
Thank you, everyone. Obviously, it's been great to talk about Supremacy. We've obviously been super busy on personal level and professional level. We would have liked to have done this about a week. Yeah, Mentone in, you know it. We would have liked to do this probably a week or 2 earlier.
Yes.
But we're really looking forward to not only continuing this journey with Supremacy and whatever else comes for the rest of the year. There's some good fun things happening, some good cards, and then we start all over again next year.
Absolutely.
Praying to God they don't do 3 levels of DPSs next year for Richmond with 8 picks in the top 20 or whatever it is.
It's been another amazing period of trading cards this year.
Yep.
Feels like it's been massive. The fact we're all raring to go already for another one is a testament to where things are really at.
Yep.
It's, again, such a great time period to be involved in cards. It's a great community of people. So many like-minded people. Enjoy it. Enjoy the fun. Participate. If you're involved at a commercial level, make the most of what you can.
Yep.
Be transparent. Continue to grow what you're doing. Growth is good for everyone. And let's all treat each other well as we come towards the Christmas period and hopefully the impending release of Series 2.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to your contributions, obviously, on stream with the questions. Janks, fantastic as always. $12,000 now, and flights, and steak, and wine, all that bullshit.
All of it.
Have a great evening. Be kind to each other, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Card Authority. Ciao.
See you guys.